Hello and welcome to this first video in this course on legal writing. To start this course, we will talk about why it is so important to hone this skill of legal writing. Why is it important to study legal writing and communication? I hope it is obvious to you that as a lawyer, words are your trade. Whether you're persuading a judge during arguments in court, or negotiating the precise terms of a contract, or providing advice on a commercial transaction, good communication remains the foundation. As a legal professional, right from the beginning and throughout your career, your job is effective communication. That is what your clients will be paying you for. That is why it is important that you understand that your value as a lawyer comes from the effectiveness of your communication. So what does effective communication mean? It means that your communication must be successful in producing the desired or intended result. So if you want to persuade a judge through a pleading, it is effective if it successfully persuades the judge. Similarly, if you are negotiating the terms of an agreement over email, then an effective email is one that clearly communicates the term of your offer or counter-offer and also persuades the other party to accept those terms. You might think that this is something that lawyers have mastered by now, or that a basic degree education in law would have taken your communication abilities to acceptable professional levels. But that is very often not the case. A legal education, at least in India, does not automatically train anyone in writing well. There are no courses in Indian law schools on good legal writing. In fact, it is the opposite. Lawyers are notorious for using a lot of needless words and talking in a way that ordinary people just don't understand. The same goes for written documents, where it is perhaps even worse. You may have seen this in dense contracts, needlessly wordy pleadings, and other convoluted drafts that you have come across in your everyday life or while studying and practicing the law. This example will show you why it is so important to improve our skills in this area. This is an actual arbitration clause. Let's read it. Except where otherwise provided in the contract, all questions and disputes relating to the meaning of the specification and instructions herein before mentioned. I've probably lost you already, and we've not even gone through a single sentence. Read the whole clause and you will see that it is more of the same. By the end of this video, I'm going to show you my suggestion for a redraft of that clause. But try to redraft it yourself. It might take you a few attempts to even understand the meaning of this very badly drafted clause. But once you understand its meaning, I'm sure that you can come up with something better. So go ahead, pause this video now and try to understand the clause. Once you understand the clause, try to rewrite it. Hopefully, doing that little exercise will illustrate why bad writing hinders good lawyering. Now, let's learn to become effective legal writers. Let's start with a question. How should one approach a writing task? What are the main points you need to consider before approaching a writing task? The first point is fairly obvious. Before you start any writing task, you need to know your audience. Know who you are writing for. You also need to know that what the task requires you to do. Remember, effective communication. Communication is effective when it produces the desired effect. So you need to clearly know what effect you want to produce. Therefore, understand the purpose of your writing. What are you trying to do with this piece of writing? Now, about knowing the audience and knowing the purpose. You're writing for a specific person or a group of persons to read. You may not know the judge that will be reading the plaint or the specific lawyer in your firm who will be reading your memo. But you know the kind of person they are, But more importantly, you know why they are going to be reading that document. So when you write not what is easy for you to write, but write what makes the document easy for them to read. Think, what is going to make your document effective as a form of communication to the person you are trying to persuade or trying to convey information to? Make sure that you consider these points before you begin. Finally, you need to know the form and format of the document that you are creating. While the first 2 points apply to all types of writing, this third one is a requirement that is quite specific to legal writing, because very often there are specific precedents that you need to use or rules of style that you need to follow, either within your law firm or at the court you are practicing. Of course, you need to comply with those technicalities. If you are a lawyer, you need to get the details right as well. Now, let's go back to the arbitration clause that we had seen at the beginning of this video. Were you able to come up with something better? My suggestion of how we can redraft that clause is on your screen right now. As you can see, I have added numbers and bullet points to break it up and make it easier to read. There were really 4 important items that were dealt with in that clause, and I broke them up in that scheme. Now we can actually understand the clause after reading it just once. From that example, you can see how it is possible to write well with just a little bit of time and attention to the task. Remember who you are writing for and why you are creating that document. It's also far better, as you can see, to write something that only needs to be read once. If you remember that little rule, you will automatically communicate in a clear fashion using simple language. That exercise we did with the arbitration clause, go ahead and apply that to every document that you come across in your professional life. That brings us to the end of the first video of this course. In the next one, we're going to go through a few more tips to write better. I hope that you keep practicing these skills and enjoying the way they develop as we go through this program.